It's a disaster. It's a disaster. I've been building up, and I want to do this preview really early in the week. I know we've got a Friday night game this week against the Cats. I didn't want to leave it till tomorrow or Thursday. I'm not too concerned about who's going out or who's coming in. Both teams are coming off the bye. So I was pretty excited about doing this preview, and I've written down some notes, and in the matter of like 12 hours, 2 sets of glasses are broken. My 2 pairs of glasses, and don't ask me how it happened, but my good pair, which I use in my videos, is broken, and my backup pair are broken as well, and I'm as blind as a bat, and I'm not up. Well, I am a little bit upset about it, okay, because I'm blind, okay? So I'm going to put them on and look a little bit ridiculous. Anyway, I hope you're well. Hope you had a great break. I did. Got away with some mates. Went to Rye on the Morning Peninsula. Went up on Friday night. Came back on Sunday. Yeah, there was 6 of us. And we went pretty hard for 2 nights. Really hard. Watched a lot of footy. Listened to a lot of music. And had a really good time. Just got away, nice and refreshed, although a little bit jaded when I got back on Sunday, I must be honest, and I hope none of our players indulged in what we indulged on the weekend, if you know what I mean. But anyway, I hope they're refreshed. They should be, both of these teams, and I think that's advantage when both teams are coming off the bye rather than one team coming off the bye or the other team searching for the bye, because there's always there's always talk, and not excuses, not internally, but there's always talk. Oh, they were searching for the bye, they look tired, or they look flat coming off the bye. At least both teams could potentially be a little bit flat coming off the bye, but there will be no excuses because there's no difference between the two. And really, when you think about it, for us, we needed the bye for all those guys that have done the heavy lifting, you know, like over the course of haven't missed a game. Cripper, Hewitt, you know, Harry, Charlie. The list goes on in regards to the blokes who've just gone above and beyond, really, and haven't been able to be managed in the first part of the year because we've had so many injuries, and they get to have a rest, really freshen up, and then we potentially get Chera back, maybe Martin back, Motlop can come in. So we're starting to get some numbers back, which is really important going into the second half of the season, and the same would be for the Geelong as well. Although Geelong, at the start of the year, were in a position to start managing players, but they've hit a bit of a snag. Don't know if it's as bad as the win-loss ratio suggests. So since the last time we played Geelong, which was in round 7, and isn't that just fucking ridiculous too? I mean, fuck's sake. Round 7, like we blinked. I mean, I remember it so clearly, and we haven't even played the Western Bulldogs, Hawthorn or West Coast Eagles or something. We haven't even played those teams yet, and we're playing Geelong again. And they're, at the G again, this time on a Friday night. They got the job done by, 13 points back in round 7. We dominated every key indicator except the scoreboard in that game. And I just remember leaving that game and doing the review and thinking, Geelong will always look like the better side regardless of our domination, disposals and clearances and contested possessions. And I didn't think we left that game being like it was all doom and gloom. It was just we just needed to improve our efficiency. And Geelong was super efficient. They were on top of the ladder. They hadn't lost a game. We weren't going along too badly ourselves, so it was billed as a pretty bloody important game, but they got the job done. But since then, they've lost 5 out of their last 6. Lost 2 at home against GWS in Port Adelaide in pretty much identical games where they've just been belted early in the game and they flew home, which Geelong are capable of doing. They're one of those teams that are capable of getting on a roll, particularly at home. They went up to Darwin. That was a write-off. Got beaten by 64 points by the Suns. Melbourne beat them in a close one the week after we played them. And then they struggled against Richmond in that game. A really undermanned Richmond. They struggled but got the job done by 30 points. And I didn't think they were too bad against Sydney. I really didn't. Similar to what we did. They got out of the blocks, looked $1 million. Sydney hit back, got in front. But Geelong hit back in that game in the last quarter. Got within, I think, 2 kicks at one stage before Sydney skipped away again. But they may have found some form. They may have found some confidence. So I don't know if I'm reading a hell of a lot into their form line, if I'm perfectly honest, because on paper they're really, really well balanced. Although their midfield's probably the area that they've just struggled in for consistency for the whole year, and that probably the fact that they haven't been able to get Dangerfield into that team for the last 6 or 7 weeks. And he was super the day we played him when he went forward, particularly. He was so dangerous. And not having Cam Guthrie there as well. And you lose Cam Guthrie, and although his form wasn't great before he got injured again, I think there's that level of experience which Geelong like. And when they haven't got it and you expose the likes of Broon and Bowes and Clark and even Holmes, who's young, Dempsey, those guys could be super dangerous, but at the same time up and down in regards and fluctuation in regards to their consistency. And that's sort of where Geelong are at the moment. I really think they're still going through a transition period without Joel Selwood. I really do. And I think there's a leadership, I wouldn't call it a problem, but a leadership void without Joel Selwood. And they still haven't fully come to grips or terms with that, particularly within games. Chris got such a strong leader and such a good coach, but you need your captain to steer the ship when things aren't going well, and that's what Joel Selwood was so good at. And it's almost like they haven't got that now, and they rely on others to do it who mightn't necessarily be up to that task, even though they've got just such great players in that team. It's just, why was Paddy Dangerfield elected captain? Was he the best option? Why hasn't Tom Hawkins ever been captain? Why wasn't Tom Stewart? I don't think the options were really there for Geelong in regards to the leadership, and I think it shows. But it makes them still extremely balanced. When they're on, their pressure is elite, and they're just got winners on every line. And they'll get Dangerfield back. It gives me the shits that he's missed all that time. He nearly played against Sydney, and then he's going to come back into this game to play us. But at the same time, you want to play the best. And he's still one of the best, Paddy Dangerfield. They might get Ollie Henry back, but even his replacement, Gary Rowan, can be a really dangerous player and has a really good record against us as well. So does Henry. It's always that hybrid player that gives us some headaches. And they went in really big against Sydney, which could cause some problems for us if they do it again. So Jerry McCameron, Tom Hawkins, and Shannon Neal. Neal being the younger guy out of those three. Shows a bit of promise. He's a big boy, a big lump of a lad. So will they play the 3, or is that too cumbersome, particularly on the big ground? We're just going to have to wait and see. Do they play Reece Stanley in the ruck against TDK, or do they bring back, is it Toby Conway? Toby Conway, or is Toby Conway injured? And I'm not quite sure. If there's any Geelong supporters out there, let us know in the comments below. What the hell is going on with your rucks at the moment? Is it just a matter of giving Conway a few seasons in and out, manage him, get him ready for season number 3 or season number 4 in his career, and then Reece Stanley sort of drifts off into the sunset after having a pretty bloody good career at the Geelong Football Club. But I would be quite happy if TDK is going up against Reece Stanley in the ruck on Friday night. What did we learn the last time we played this mob? And it's not that long ago. I mentioned we dominated everything and we walked away from that game, and there was a lot of if only, if we did this, if we did that, if we kicked straight, if our synergy and connectiveness inside forward 50, our mids connecting with our forwards was a lot better. There was a lot of ifs and buts with that game. But I'm a firm believer, just like when we beat Essendon with only 41 inside 50s, and whether that will be sustainable for us moving forward, we would like to think that we are a little bit better than that our midfield and our wingers and our halfbacks can generate more inside 50s to give our forwards more opportunities than just 41. Is that sustainable, particularly against a well-drilled team like Geelong, who are at their best very good defensively, although their back 6 or 7 have been a little bit up and down, particularly since they've been putting work into Tom Stewart. But what did we learn? What we learn is that they are a very, very efficient football team when they're on the song, Geelong, and they got us out the back with their speed. They've got smart players and good ball users. No better than someone like Brian Myers, who had a terrific game. So did Max Holmes. And the guy that I think gives us headaches every time we play them is Jeremy Cameron. And he kicked 5, 8 marks, 2 of those contested, and was just a real handful, getting up the ground, losing his opponent, getting back in, and he kicked everything. He just kicked. Every time the ball came his way in the front half, he was able to score goals. In fact, I think he only scored 1 behind in that game. And since then, guys, he's played 5 games and he's played 6 games and only kicked 5 goals. He's gone goalless against Melbourne, kicked 1 goal against Port, kicked 1 goal against Greater Western Sydney, only kicked 1 against one of the worst defences in the competition in Richmond, and then found a little bit of form against Sydney, kicking 2 in, having 21 disposals and taking 8 marks. So maybe he's starting to find his best again to face us. He has a terrific record against us, and frankly, I got no idea what we're going to do with him. I've got no real confidence in any of our defenders being able to play on him. I really don't. That, obviously Wiedering's going to play on Tom Hawkins. That's just a given. So who it is, I'm not quite sure. I've heard, let's bring Caleb Marchbank in to play on him. If you look at Caleb Marchbank in the VFL at the moment, he is a shadow of the player. Not that he could ever get on the park, but he was a lot more nimble, a lot more agile. His body looks completely fucked, and you wouldn't be bringing him into this game. Well, they might. And I just, for some reason, I still don't trust Brodie Kemp or even Mitch McGovern, to be perfectly honest, to play on someone like Jeremy Cameron. But the simple facts are they're going to have to. Is it a combination of both? They swap and change. Just going to have to wait and see, because he's a real headache. And I'd be really disappointed after the form he's been in since he played us last time. The fact that he's only kicked 5 goals from 6 games since he kicked 5 against us in round 7. If he comes out and has a big night, I'd be really disappointed with that. I really would be. The other one is Max Holmes. I think that is the job for Alex Cincotta. The mystery going into every game about who Alex Cincotta will play on, I like it. There doesn't appear to be a lot of other options. Dangerfield, if he plays, will he spend a lot of time forward? Could be an option for Alex Cincotta. He's certainly got the speed and the power, and could be even an option to go with him when he goes forward. But I've got a feeling he might play on Max Holmes. I think he's the next big thing through the midfield for the Geelong Football Club because of his speed and his ball-winning ability. And if he's able to play the game on his own terms and have plenty of time and space, he can really be damaging. So I think if we're going to have a punt on who Alex Chincotta will play on, I think it may be Max Holmes. The other thing they did really well against us last time we played them was their wings. They rotated them very well, whether it was Dempsey, Tui was magnificent with 3 goals. We can't have that happen again. We cannot have that happen again. That would be a disaster if Zach Tui is popping up and having an impact like he did in round 7. Mullen, the other Irishman, can play through there as well. And I think the one that really got under our guard was Mark Blixarves. He was the one who started on a wing, and then they'd rotate another player through there, allowing him to drift forward, and he ended up kicking 2 goals and becoming a real nuisance for the whole game. And he's another player. He's a pretty he's a pretty consistent footballer, Mark Blixarves, but he's another one that lifts against us and finds another leg. And he's whether he's manning Patrick Cripps up at a stoppage in the midfield or going up in the ruck, or if he's going onto a wing and causing headaches going forward, drifting back to help out defensive. Well, he's a really good player. That's a wrap, guys. I'm looking forward to going to this game. I really am. It's our home game. So important. It's so important in how tight this ladder is. Let's just get it up. I know we're favourites. $1.59, Geelong $2.36. It feels like we are really short there. But the ladder's so tight, isn't it? Let's just have a quick look at it and get it up here. I mean, Sydney are home. They have to fall in an absolute hole to lose that top spot. So they're getting a home final. We're in the box seat. We win this one, we're in the box seat to stay there. We really are. That's why this big game is so important. We go 2 games clear of the Cats with a win here and potentially a greater percentage as well, with Collingwood just lurking. Nice position to be in. Tell me what you think. Are you confident, or do you rate the Cats as highly as I do? Speak soon.